Hello there, beautiful people. I hope you are having a creative day. In this video, I will share some tips and tricks to make your Wix Studio website responsive. And applying these tips will help you a lot in reducing the time you spend on designing the website and take out a lot of necessary work that you have to do during designing the breakpoints. So without further delay, let's get started. The first thing we need to make responsive in our website is the text of the website. All right, so we have to set the font here, the text here, and make it responsive. All right, so let's talk about the text first. In order to make your text responsive and save a lot of time, what you can do is you can go to the typography style of your website and set a minimum and maximum value here. All right. So this is the minimum font size value and this is the maximum font size value. And what it does is that it sets a limit of the font size for your website and every breakpoint. All right. So for example, for H1, I will set the minimum limit to 42 pixel and maximum value to let's set it to 72. All right, and after that hit apply. Okay, and now if you go to your add elements and add an h1 heading, if you look at the font size, you will have the minimum and maximum value set to 72 and 42. All right, and if you go to lower breakpoints, you will always have the font size which will never be less than 42. But you can always set the font size for a specific breakpoint as well. So for example, I can set the font size for tablet here to, all right, and for mobile, it will be 42. But it will never go below the 42 unless you specifically set it here. All right, so this is one of the things you should do while creating the website. Set a minimum and maximum value for your heading font size. You can do the same for all the headings here from H1 to H6. For the paragraphs, this is another thing I have seen and faced while starting with Wix Studio. So what you can do is you can set it to scale text and set the minimum and maximum value to 18. All right. And what it will do is that it will set the constant font size of your paragraph. So hit apply. And if you add the text now, the paragraph, it will set the font size to 18. Even if you have the responsive behavior to scale proportionally, the font size will always be 18. All right. Does not matter if you go to lower breakpoint, you will have the font size set as 18. All right. And it will save you a lot of time in creating and setting the responsive behavior again and again. So it's a great way to make your text responsive. But we are not done yet. We have to do something else. For heading, I will recommend setting the responsive behavior to either custom scale or scale proportionally. If you want to set a specific font, go with the custom scale, otherwise scale proportionally. And because we have already set the font limit in our website style, you don't have to worry about resizing of the font size and going below 42. For paragraph, I will personally recommend using the wrap so that you can set a specific width and then all the new text will be added below the lines. All right, so it's a great way to make your text responsive. Whenever you add multiple text or buttons or any element, always make sure to stack them together. That's because when you scale the website, when people visit your website on different device widths, it's possible that your elements will get closer or far, go far from each other. So a good practice is to stack the elements together. To do this, you have to click the elements, hold shift, and click other elements as well. And you will get the option to stack them together right here. And what it does is that it creates a constant distance between the elements. All right. So you can set how far these two elements will be from one another. You have different values right here. So I'm going to set it to pixels. So let's set it to 40 pixels. And it will make sure that your text never overlaps with each other or go far from each other. All right. So it makes sure that your website text or elements remains far from each other, does not overlap or go too far. Similarly, as you can see, this right here is a stacked element. The button, the text, the heading, everything is stacked together, so they never overlap, whether you have a different breakpoints or different size. So make this your habit, always stack the elements together. If you have multiple elements, let's say you have two buttons next to each other, in that case, you can, let's duplicate it. In that case, you can first stack these two buttons together. So again, hold shift, stack, and then stack the elements all together. All right, so these two buttons will not overlap or go far from each other, and the same goes for these three elements as well. So it's a great way to make sure that your elements never overlaps or go far from each other. All right, so make sure that you keep this in your habit. The next very important setting of responsive behavior is related to this section. You have to make sure that each of your section has the proper responsive behavior. Now, how do we set this? For elements like header and the footer, I will personally recommend using the fixed height, which is right here. And that's because we don't want our header and footer to change the size with the device width, with the device, okay? So for these type of elements, the header and footer, or let's say a slideshow, in which you don't want to cover the entire screen, um, I will personally recommend using the fixed height. All right, so depending on the type of section you have, I will recommend that you go for the fixed height for header and footer specifically. And if you have some sort of slideshow or some product elements, you can go for fixed height as well. Another type of sections we have is the widgets. So let's say this product section here has the product widgets, and we want to make this responsive. How do we do that? In this case, I will recommend using two options. You either use the fixed height if you want to show a specific amount of products, or set it to fit to screen. So this will fit your section according to the height of the widget. Okay. So if you want to show like a lot of products with the load more type buttons, you can go for the fit to screen. All right. And if you want to add some space, you always have the option to add some margin here. So let's set it to pixels, set it to 80 and 80 pixels. All right. So this will make sure that your section have some distance from the next section, but also have a height according to the widget height. All right. So for this type of sections where you have widgets, I will personally recommend going for the fit to screen option. All right. And if you have some other buttons or anything else, let's say I have a button outside this widget. In that case, you should stack these elements together and again set the section to fit to screen, select the entire stacked element and add the margin. All right, so for different type of widgets that you use in your section, you can use this method to make your sections responsive. All right. And this will work for all your breakpoints as well. So it will save you a lot of time. Another setting that we need is for the buttons. Now, for the buttons, I will recommend always going for the fixed responsive behavior so that you have a constant width and height of the button. Also, when you add the elements like the button here, make sure to align them according to the stack or section. All right. So these are some of the basic settings you can use to make sure that your website is responsive. Of course, you can always use the responsive AI as well. It will help you to quickly check the settings and see what they will look like across different breakpoints. But these are the most basic settings that you can use. Depending on the section, the elements, you can choose what type of settings you want. But make sure that you always take the elements together, set the font size range, and set the responsive behavior of your section according to the function of the elements inside the section. For elements like header and footer, I will recommend using the fixed height. For most of the section, you can use the scale proportionally. For stacked element as well. One more thing you should do, and this is something a lot of people forget, is to set a specific margin and dock your elements. All right. So, for example, this element, the entire stack here, is docked to the left side and the top. All right. So it makes sure that it always keeps the 4.7% distance for from the left side of your viewport. Okay, you can also set it in pixels if you want to set a constant distance. So if I change the size like this, it will always keep the constant distance. And if I set it in percentage, it will also adjust according to the viewport size. So depending on the purpose, you can either set it in pixel. Let's say you want to show a constant distance. In that case, you can use the pixel. Or if you want to change it and make it variable, you can use the percent or different options you have. But it's always a good idea to dock your elements. Always keep this option checked so you have the auto dock enabled. But yeah, these are some of the most important tips and tricks that you can use to make your website responsive. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.